All right. Well, welcome officially, everyone, to our kind of January Healthy Huddle. My name's Megan Renna. For those of you that don't know me, I've been a certified health coach for about 4 years now. And I had my own kind of health transformation about 4 years ago. I went through the program on the Nursing Moms. And it radically changed my life. And so I decided to have that brave yes and say, I'll raise my hand and help some family and friends. And from there, that's how you guys have all kind of been introduced to this amazing program. And this handsome guy here, I'll let him introduce himself.
I'm Brandon. I'm Megan's husband.
Handsome husband.
I'm not going to say I'm handsome. And yeah, I lost about 30 pounds on the program shortly after Megan lost weight on the program. And we've both been just impressed by this program for all these years, and it's been amazing. So I'm here to bring some testosterone. I see Eric Trang on there, so that's good. There's a couple of guys, so if you people know any other guys, get them involved.
Absolutely. Yeah. But what our whole goal in kind of creating this, intentionality huddle, I guess you could even call it, for January, is that our program has those four main components. But in my opinion, one of my absolute favorites and non-negotiables is the community aspect. I've met so many incredible friends as a result of just sharing my story and paying it forward. And for me, I even feel like especially in January, as many are making new goals and resolutions for their year, we want to just set that tone to help you find your community and your people and your friends, because if you even break down that word, it's common unity, right? And so it's like we want to be surrounded by like-minded people on that same path in life to create a healthier one, because there are a lot of herds and people going in other directions. And so this is definitely a big mindset shift to focus on, what do we want to create though in our lives? What do we want to create in our health? And what do we want to chase after with it? Yeah, Liz, you've done a phenomenal job too of creating that community. And so that's what our hope is for this, is that you will make friends with people that are jumping on and either just starting their journey like you might be, or if you even are years in like I am, that you can just find that camaraderie. For some of I served in the military. Both of us actually served in the military for about 8 years, and I'm often asked if I miss it. And I used to say yes a lot, because I missed that camaraderie. I missed being kind of on that same, like having a mission, having like this drive to come together. And thankfully with our community, with our coaching, I have found that same camaraderie of people that just want to come together, push each other to become the best versions of ourselves. And so that's what we're really hoping. But this is definitely all geared for you, what you want to learn, how you want to grow. And so just know that we want it to be very interactional. That's not really
interactive.
Yeah. Interactive. There we go. And so you pop in the chat, if you have a comment, if you have a thought, if there's even something that you want us to be focusing on for the rest of January, we're happy to cover topics that you want to grow and learn in. But in the meantime, I am so excited to welcome one of my dear friends, Erin. We had the privilege of going skydiving together a couple of years ago. I won't take all of it. So Erin, are you there? Can you pop off mute and share a little bit about your story, your transformation, because I know it inspires many. And so I'm excited for hopefully the seed that it will plant in all of you of what's possible.
Thanks. Yeah. Hi. So for myself, I started back in June of 2015. I had found myself in a pretty low spot life-wise. I professionally was in a great place. I was working on my master's. I'm a teacher and I was loving what I was doing, but I was 270 pounds. I didn't really know what to do about that. I just felt like I'd kind of resigned myself to that life, and that's just what I was going to have to deal with. I was pushing 300 pounds, and it was just like, okay, that's just what I do. Like, vacations are focused around what I can do. The restaurants that have tables that I can sit at, that's, where we go. It was kind of a depressing way to live. And I have a little girl, and I wanted to be a role model for her. And I felt like I wasn't really doing that in any way. shape, or form. And so I had seen Kristen, who I think we're going to hear from later tonight, Fulmore. She was another teacher in my district sharing her story. And I just decided, like, she can do this. I can do whatever this is. So I reached out to her and I went and sat down with her. And I ended up just pouring my soul out, and I hopped on program, and whatever she was going to do, I was going to do it. And fast forward about 15 months, I was able to lose 102 pounds, and life is super different for me. So Megan said we went, skydiving. I went snowshoeing. I run a half marathon, signed up for my second one. I'm going to do it again this March. Like, just things are so different. And when I revisit the way things were before, and I realize, like, life is so different. And so I know I think, Megan, we were going to kind of talk about food being fuel, right? Tonight was kind of like our focus. And so I was kind of reflecting on that a little bit earlier today, thinking about, like, okay, what do I have to add to that? But I think for me, when I was 270 pounds, food was just like a necessity. I ate it because I had to, because, you can't, like, not. So I would probably skip breakfast. If I did eat something, it was, maybe like a muffin, or maybe oatmeal if I was really going to be good. And I just kind of now I understand it was that high glycemic roller coaster that I was just, like, going and surviving on. But if I would get to the point where I was starving, and so then I would eat whatever I could, and then I would feel good for a while, but then I would be so tired, and then I would have to have that, sugar soda pick me up or something like that. And I just realized now that so much of what I was eating was based on that glycemic roller coaster, and I didn't know what it felt like to eat well and to fuel my body. And so now, couple years later, when I'm not feeling good, and I realize, oh, it was, because I skipped a fueling, or I didn't make the best choice at lunch when I probably could have eaten this instead of that, or I had a little bit, too much caffeine and not enough water or something like that. So now it is so different, and especially when, like, my lifestyle has changed so much, and I am so much more active, and I'm working out at 5 a.m. a couple times a week, or running, or even just teaching PE to my class of third graders. I know now it's a direct correlation. When I eat well and eat well balanced, and I eat every 2 to 3 hours, and, whole foods and things like that, I notice I feel so much different. And I think that's probably one of, like, the greatest gifts, to know what it feels like to feel great, and then to know that it's my choice, and that I don't have to survive so much on eating as a reward, or eating because I deserved this, or eating as, like, I have to because I'm about to crash and pass out, or I'm about to flip out on my husband or something, because I'm, so that has been such a huge, like, eye-opening experience, and part of being on program and being healthy for me. Yeah.
That is amazing, Erin. I love it. And yeah, I think what you kind of even spoke to is just, like, setting the tone of, like, I'm going to make this happen. I've seen what's possible for somebody else, and now I'm going to chase after it for myself. But then even, like, using that food as fuel, like, you wouldn't put low grade fuel in a high performance machine. Like, it won't run well. It won't get you to your destination. It won't get you the desired outcome that you have for yourself. And so that's what I've seen. You like to be active. You're active, extremely active now. And it's a lot of it because you've worked on that healthy that healthy dynamic with the food, and learning to put that high, like, premium fuel in, essentially, in your body, so that it fuels it so you can perform like you want to.
And probably also, like, on top of that, Megan, is, like, that I am a high performance vehicle. Like, before, I might have just thought I was that Pinto, it's just like, whatever, like, what's the point? Like, this is okay, this status quo, and this is how everybody feels. So this is just the way I'm supposed to feel, but I'm not. Like, I'm a finely tuned machine, like, when I treat it well, you know? So anyways, we all are. We just don't know that yet.
That's exactly it. And that's what I love, is that all of a sudden, sometimes you get those blinders turned off, and then you do start to realize your actual worth, like your inherent value. And so because of your inherent value and your worth, you then start treating yourself a whole lot differently and fueling yourself in a much different way, and starting to see that you can be that high performance, and that you're capable of so much more. And I've seen that time and time again with you, Erin. And I love that, like you said, every time you've kind of hit a goal, you've always asked, like, what's next, and set that bar a little bit higher for yourself. And you, because of that, you raise the bar for so many other people too, and inspire them to see really what's possible. I love it. Well, and I know that you wouldn't be here, right, if it wasn't for Kristen doing the same brave yes to
100%. Yeah.
to say, like, okay, I am working on getting a healthy relationship with myself, because that's the thing, right? Like, for many of us, we have more of a relationship with food sometimes than we do with actual people, because we are constantly throughout the day interacting with it, thinking about it, consumed by it sometimes. And so you have to learn to have that. It's one of those things we can't cut out of our lives. We have to develop a healthier relationship with it. And that's really what Kristen did as well. So Kristen, do you mind kind of popping off as well and just sharing a bit of your transformation story? And yeah, I'm excited to hear what you have to share.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to share with you guys too. I know several of you have heard parts of my story. I feel like my story is ever evolving, and every time I share it, I tend to share a different aspect and a different piece. It just kind of depends on what's in my life at the moment. And it's so interesting now that I'm on the flip side of it. I've been optimizing my health for 2 years now, and looking back, you realize just how many layers there are to this journey, and that it is a never-ending journey. There's no finish line. There's no finish line. So if you think there is, get that concept out of your head, because just like Megan said, there's always a what's next. Let's keep on moving and keep on moving that bar and keep reaching higher and higher, because we are always capable of better things. But guys, I didn't start with this mindset. I started with my mindset absolutely in the drudges of the toilet. And when I was coming into January 2015, I'd given up. Honestly, I had thrown up my hands and said, you know what, I'm just going to be almost 250 pounds or more or whatever for the rest of my life. And I was done trying. I was done failing. And I had gone to the same establishment 11 times over 14 years and sat in some meetings and counted some points and got me nowhere. And quite frankly, it put my mindset in a really deep place. And it wasn't until I found the bravery to reach out to my health coach, who was a teacher in my district, just like Erin had done, reached out to a teacher in her district, that I saw her transform. Her transformation was 12 pounds, very different than mine, which made me a little bit hesitant to reach out to her at first. And, I thought in my head, is she going to judge me? Is she going to da-da-da? Because these were all my concepts in my head. And she didn't. She had beautiful open arms, and she was so ready to help me. And gosh darn it, that girl just helped me to lose a whole 105 pounds. And I was really hesitant to start, but so full of optimism and hope and excitement. And, I think we all have that hesitation of, is this going to work for me? Am I going to find success? Am I going to have an after picture, or am I going to sabotage myself once more? And, you guys, the biggest factor for this for me was this community and plugging into it regularly and creating my own little microsphere of healthy people around me. Because you know what? All those 14 years where I kept going back to that same establishment, I might have had a whole group of people around me every single week. But if I didn't wear a name tag, not a single person knew who I was. Nobody knew my story, and nobody cared. They might have asked me to stand up and turn around and do a little jig for them, if I did a 5-pound loss that week, but nobody really cared. And so to find a group of people like you guys right here who genuinely do care for one another, and I'd never found that before, having people pour into me right and left. It didn't matter if they were my health coach or not. When we find that we are on the same journey, going toward that same goal of health, not just I want to be skinny and I want to be hot, but I want to be healthy. That's a whole new mindset. And just changing my ability to look at food and knowing that I'm not having to, number one, count points for it, because quite frankly, when I was a point counter, I was looking for the chocolate chip cookies that, fit into my points, not the healthy foods that were fueling my body. Mindset shift there. And so with this, in so much education and so much just, you guys, have you read this yet? Have you read this yet? This is going to change your life, okay? So pull it out, unwrap the plastic if you haven't yet, and dig in. I mean, just read the intro or even chapter 1, and you won't be able to put it down. You guys, I don't read. Don't read. I'm a teacher that hates reading. I know, it's terrible. But this will change your life. And I think it's so cool that we have this educational piece as part of our program, because when we fuel our mind in a healthy way, there is absolutely no way that we cannot move forward with this. When we know the science that backs it, when we know just how powerful and healthy and amazing this is, and that this isn't a short-term fix, but this is a long-term journey toward your best life, then that is something you can encapsulate and hold and love and pay forward to other people with a great big smile on your face. And anyways, I'm going in all sorts of tangents with my story here, but I am somebody who just found a group of people to love me and to push me forward and to spur me on to things I never thought I could ever do, but every part of my soul and my being wanted to do. And I just lived in a prison, always. And I've been set free. Can you tell? Hallelujah. I've been set free, people. And I just love living this healthy life now and being able to pay it forward to other people. Like, I see some of my beautiful faces on this screen right here in front of me. And it makes me so excited to see you, because I know the transformation your lives have had too. And some of you have also chosen to pay it forward, and you're creating your own little communities and your own little microspheres of health right around you. And that is going to carry you forward for a very, very, very long time. So boop, boop, kudos to all you. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, Kristen, thank you so much for sharing it. I don't even think you knew this, but you completely set me up so well for some of the kind of tangible tools that I was even going to be talking about in setting the tone for your month and setting your structure and setting your vision in your current reality to help bridge that gap. I don't know, again, from the Habits of Health, it would be in chapter 3. And then in the workbook of Living a Longer, Healthier Life, it's in chapters 5 and 6. So I encourage you after this call to go dig into that a little bit more, answer those questions out exactly perfect for yourself. But one of the things, this is one of my favorite topics to teach on, because it has been an absolute game changer for myself, because I used to operate out of like, I would see this vision of what I want to create, but then I would just live there in fantasy and would never actually look at the current reality I was actually in and what would be required to move forward. Or I would be so buried under the actual current reality I was facing that it was so consuming that I didn't actually have the vision to then move forward in it. But this has been a game changer for us. We continually kind of set the bar a little bit higher, like I was saying with Aaron, and for you, even Kristen too, where it's like this is a never ending journey. When you're on a health journey, you'll hit your goal, but you have to reset. We are, as human beings, just have that natural set point where we have to have something compelling us to a brighter and better future. And so, because if you think of, I use this rubber band all the time for this example. So if you have just the vision and that's where you stay, like I was talking about, and just fantasy, like there's nothing compelling you to move forward. Yeah. If you then stay just in your current reality, buried under the actual day-to-day, like tasks, and you stay in kind of like that victimhood even, or even where Kristen was, where it was like, I'm buried in this current reality. I have this vision, but I don't know how to put anything into place to make it reality. And so it requires both. This creates energy when you have both vision and you're the truth of like your current reality, where you're actually at. It will create that tension that will seek that resolution. So I even encourage you guys now who will be even kind of brave and bold enough to like pop in the chat, like maybe what, like get very, very clear. What do you want most? Like, what do you have this deep burning desire that's going to wake you up in the morning? It gets you excited, this vision, where you want to go and why do you want to go there? Not only the, we have to have both connected because otherwise it will not drive us. I read this and it says your soul will not invest in compromise. So it does, you have to have that deep burning desire to make it a reality, to get crystal clear on what you want and why you want it, because then the distance between it, the energy that this is going to create between your truth, your current reality, and your vision, it's going to give you that roadmap. It's going to give you that direction and that desire, and you're going to be fueling yourself well, right, to make it a reality. But here's the thing, and this is what I've heard time and time again, sometimes we start moving closer to that vision, so the tension's released. So that have you ever heard like with that last 10 pounds, it's so much harder to get off. It's because you've laxed up on the tension between it. So you need to reset the bar. You do need to set that tension, set that point a little bit higher then of what is your next bigger vision? What is your next, what's pulling you forward? So was anybody going to be kind of brave and pop it into the chat? Look at this. Let's see. Sarah, your goal is to learn new ways to handle food and be responsible instead of being the victim. Oh my gosh, so good, girl. I love that. Because, right, again, that relationship with food, so often we fall circumstances to just our feelings. But what you're really going to be learning through hopefully some of these huddles, through hopefully the education system of the Habits of Health and the workbook that you're going to be going through, when you plug into the Wednesday nights Habits of Health call as well, you're going to be bathing your brain and thinking about long-term creating health in your life, not just problem like solving and running away from what you don't want. We want to be chasing and running after what we want most in life. Let's read a couple more of these. Become healthy in every area of my life and help others achieve the same. Been bound by fear. Oh, so many of us, right? Because that's the same thing. Sometimes we operate out of that conflict, and we operate more out of our fears than out of what we actually want. So I even want you, when you're thinking about your goals that you're going to be writing out, frame them in a way that it's what you want. So let's say, I have a very intrinsic motivation right now because I'm getting ready to go to Maui, and I'm going with a group of women that are very active. And so my greatest desire is to be able to be on these hikes and not be winded, to be able to be out there with confidence and joy, and to be fully present in those moments and not consumed or concerned about how do I look or because I've been fueling myself well. And so I have that confidence because I've been taking care of myself, rather than sometimes my goals might have been like, oh, I don't want to be, out of breath on this. Or we want to start framing our goals and framing our vision and what we are creating, what we want most. Oh, let me read a couple more of these. Legacy of health for my family, see my kids grow up in healthy patterns in their lives. Totally opposite of how I grew up. Yep, absolutely. We get to be those chain breakers in so many ways. I love that, guys. So again, I love that you're getting very clear on what you want most. And then sometimes we do need to take that truth, current reality, where are we though right now in relationship to what we want most. And then the in-between part that's creating all that energy, I like to think of it as kind of like a bridge, right? Like where we need to create some middle steps though to get us to that destination, to get us to that point. So maybe again, continue to kind of pop it into the chat. What are some of those secondary choices that will help us with integrity walk closer every single day towards that vision? For some of us that are on our health journey, it might be, I'm going to be eating every 2 to 3 hours. I'm going to be checking my emotions to see when have I been eating out of boredom or stress or loneliness or joy or socializing or whatever else. how I'm going to be drinking, half of my body weight in ounces every day. I'm going to be setting a timer on my phone every night to remind me that it's time to shut off the phone, and then I'm going to go lay down and get in bed instead of watching the TV show. It might be I'm going to check in with my coach every single week on Monday and send them an updated picture. I'm going to send them my weigh-in. I'm going to send them my measurements. I'm going to stay engaged in the community. I'm going to put this call as a like a rock in my schedule, as a reminder to plug into that community. I'm going to, everybody feel free to pop in with more ideas. There's tons of them though, right? Where then what I even like to do, and I know I had shared this with Liz a long time ago, you have these two distances. You have that vision, you have that current reality. I like to kind of play it as like a movie, like thread. So I have my vision of what I want, and then I have just below that in my mind where I'm at right now. And a lot of times our mind does not like that distance between. We don't like that tension. We want to resolve it. So the more that you can almost do that, you're going to start having some of those secondary choices. Your brain's going to come up with the solutions to those problems, to the gap, and it's going to help you continue to drive that forward. So I hope that this was helpful, and that this is something that, again, you need to always be raising the bar a little bit higher, because your soul is not going to stay invested in compromise. So if you have any compromise within yourself, you need to check it. And then again, constantly throughout the day, be asking yourself, what do I want most though? And is what this daily commitment, this action, is it moving me forward in that? Or is it continually acting out of my fear? Or is this acting out of integrity with what I value most and what I want to create most? I'm going to read just a couple more of these, because I think you guys are going to have some incredible ideas that I didn't even come up with. Waking up early to have self-care time. Oh my gosh, yes, I love that. And like starting your day with reading something positive to just set the tone for your day.
Travel munchies.
Yeah, I load my car up with healthy snacks and fuelings so that I don't have to pop into the fast food places or convenience stops. That's a great one. Yes, I love the no technology before bed. So you just get a better kind of grounding with that. Get a good night's sleep, because that's going to set the tone for your whole next day, right? If you're not acting out of exhaustion and you get to have that clear and present mind. I love these guys. Well, this was so much fun. I hope that this offered you guys some value. What I would love throughout the week too is you guys maybe share your own structural tension that you created, your current reality, the vision of what's pulling you forward, and begin with, I would say, even the end in mind. What do you want most? So that way you're not going to be operating out of that fear. You're going to be operating out of what you really truly value and want. And then you're going to get clear on where you're at right now in relationship to it, to continue as we make those secondary choices to align with that. But I am so excited to just continue this journey with you all. Know that this is as much for us as it is for anybody else. Again, the health journey never ends. So stay plugged into all four of the components: the education piece, the community piece, the big bio network, and then continue to create your own micro environment of health, because then it's not going to be you operating against the world. You are creating kind of your own your community, your common unity, those like-minded people that you get to do life with, and it makes it easier to stay on course and on track with what you value and desire most in life. But awesome, guys. It was so fun to spend Monday evening with you. I can't wait to see some of these structural tension charts coming through, and that way you know that you also have this camaraderie of these other like-minded people that want to see you through to those goals, and celebrate with you all along the way. But I hope you guys have a great night.